it was a level of respect. Not everybody loved us,
No.
but I will say this.
They love to win. They love to beat us.
Absolutely.
If they could.
but it was about respect, and I think we all had to be well trained for that. And so with the work that we're doing right now with L.E.A.D, we started in 2007, and we have an organization of over 250 Black boys coming out of the city of Atlanta.
That's great. That really is.
And we have a level of structure where some people actually don't in the community don't always love us because of the level of seriousness and being deliberate that we have. But that's why, again, a part of my origin story is me coaching here. And then even for me as well too, like with the late Don Valentine and playing on his teams when I was a kid, coming from the inner city of Atlanta and coming up and playing at East Cobb and playing against a bunch of guys from East Cobb. I mean, it's just a part of us. I mean, how does that make you feel though when you go in places and people are pointing out Guerry, Baldwin and having negative things to say?
What's going on around here now is 14 and under baseball every weekend, perfect game, because high school's still going on, and I do a lot of walking, most of it in here, just because I enjoy being here and walking through. But the number of people that stop me and talk to me and tell me how much I influenced this or that, or how much they enjoyed playing for me and trying as hard as I can. Yeah, I remember you.
Yeah.
Just tell me your name and hurry up.
Right.
I had a really unusual one Sunday. Blaine Boyer, who played in the major leagues for quite a while.
Out of Walton High School too, right?
Yes, he went to Walton, and I was coaching at Walton when he was there, and he was a really good athlete, quarterback on the football team. He was a center fielder on the baseball team. And back then you had to have tryouts, actual tryouts. So he fielded a ground ball in center field and threw it over the backstop. So I said, turned to Dennis Jordan, and I said, does he pitch? No, coach, he can't throw it over the plate. Well, guess what? He's going to learn. And he didn't pitch much that year, but his senior year, we're playing in the region championship against Lassiter, and the North Carolina commit we had hurt himself warming up, twisted his ankle, and called me down there and said, Coach, I don't think I can pitch. I went, okay, because we'd already played a bunch of games in the tournament. So I went, Blaine, come here. He comes over there, he says, what you want, Coach? I said, you're pitching. He goes, huh? He had pitched like 3 innings all year, but we really didn't have anybody else. So the first batter, the first 4 pitches he threw at the backstop. I mean, they weren't even close. And so I went to the mound and I said, Blaine, there's a happy medium between how hard can you throw it and throwing it over the plate. And he said, all right, Coach, I'm fine now. I'm fine. I was just a little jacked up. Just to show you how Lassiter was, and Mickey Mercury, they swung at everything. So the next pitch he let up on, and the kid hit a 2-run homer. And so I'm back to the mound. I said, somewhere in between, Blaine, somewhere in between. He said, all right. Well, we ended up winning the game 6-2. He struck out 17 in the game, and that was the only hit he gave up. And he didn't walk another person. And I'm sitting in the dugout listening to Dennis talk after the game, and I got Major League scouts. Who is that?
Yeah.
And of course he got drafted. And he called me on the phone and said, the Braves drafted me. And I went, well, that's great. He said, as a pitcher. And I went, well, Blaine, what did they offer you? And he told me. I said, that's pretty good money. I said, do you want to play professional baseball? And he said, yes. Take the money. And he did.
I remember that too.
So he's a, what did he tell me he was? Assistant to the, either the owner or the GM or both of them for the Kansas City Royals now. But he played 10 plus years in the major leagues and then played in Japan for a while. I said, you had a really good career. He said, I did. Thank you.
I think stories like that are so important because what we're seeing is the resistance of. So I know what you played when you played rec ball or whatever, but once you progress to the level of the team that we have, and CJ as a scout says, I really see you over here, and the resistance we get from that. Just talk about like any that story is advice to parents, but just talk about just in your experience how you've had to shift players to say, I know you want to be shortstop, and I know that's where you want to play, but if you want a shot to go all the way, you're going to have to be here.
I don't know if I'll be able to recall all the names because there's been a few of them over all these years, but there was a couple of shortstops that I had a while back that I didn't play at shortstop. And one of them, the father told me, if you're not going to let him play shortstop, I'm taking him home. I said, well, you need to go ask him if he wants to go home. And because I put him at third, because having scouted for the Braves for a while, which I did, just associate scout, but I did some stuff. I said, he doesn't fit the eye test to be a shortstop. Can he play shortstop in high school? Sure. But he's 6'3", he's switch hitter, he throws 90 plus off the mound, so he needs to be a third baseman because that's probably what's going to happen when he makes it, and a pitcher. So, long story short, he was the first round draft pick as a third baseman. I had another kid from Stevens County that was a shortstop in high school and pitched. I put him at third. I remember the day he called me when he got drafted in the first round and said, the Dodgers drafted me. I went, well, that's great. He said, but they drafted me as a pitcher. I went, huh? Because his 16-year-old year here, he had 24 home runs and had 149 RBIs. Now, we were playing with metal bats back then, and we played even more games then than we do now. So, but I mean, it's unbelievable. 16-year-old year he had, and then he tells me, well, I'm a pitcher. I went, good for you.
Well, I think that's one of the things too that players got here that set them up to become major leaguers is playing with your soul. So your mind needs to be strong, your body needs to be strong, but like you get tested out here. Being in this dugout with you is like you have to love it because the expectations is always so high. I just remember you asking things of people that just didn't seem real and fair, but then folks would do it, would rise up and but then you carry that on.
You know, one of the things I've been able to say to kids for as long as I've been doing this is I'll never lie to you. I'm always going to be upfront and tell you the truth. You know, I'll tell you what level I think you can play at. Prove me wrong, but I'm going to tell you what I think is realistic. And not everybody wants to hear that, especially today, but they still do. But that's just being honest with a player. And the relationships I have with former players and people that come and talk to me still that played here, it's pretty cool. It really is that East Cobb baseball could have that kind of effect on young people. It really matters. I know there was a couple of kids I had, I don't know, it's probably been 15 years ago now, that came from not a lot of money, you know, big families, really, really good parents who did a great job of raising them. And they came and played here. I forgot where I saw them, but I saw them, and I asked them, and they said, well, how much does it cost? Nothing, just come play. I'll take care of you guys. Right. There's two of them. And they both were first rounders. They got over $1 million. and they've changed their whole family's life. It's, stuff like that is.
And talk more about that because we know what pay to play baseball is today. And but over the years, you've not allowed that for players who you saw were very talented. You've not allowed money to stand in the way, and I don't think people understand that about you.
No, I don't. I mean, I've said this a million times. This is about those who can play, not those who can pay. You know, if I say this in all the parents' meetings, even the one that I had a couple of months ago for this year, if you can afford to pay $1,500, fine. If you can afford to pay $1,000, fine. If you can afford to pay $500, fine. If you can't afford to pay, just tell me, and it'll be fine. And some people would say, well, that's not fair. I said, of course it's fair. Because if all of you say you can't pay, it ain't going to stop you from playing. It's just not. And, you know, some people have money and they don't mind it. And some people, it's a little bit of a struggle. So, if you can't do it, then you play anyway.
Well, let me add this too, though, because I think this is very important. It was never one of those situations where every time you had me out here coaching with you, you always paid me and paid me well, so much so that we were able to move out here. So that's another thing I think people need to understand. I don't know about everybody else, but like you paid me at a level to where I was able to move my family and take care of my family.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that's great. I needed that.
I think it just speaks to how you started to professionalize coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And at a time when you might have to lay some tile during the day and then come coach, but you allow, CJ to have that flexibility to be able to take care of our family and do something he loved full time. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, it was always a thought process when this was ramping up, so to speak, that we had professional coaches like you, CJ, that not just dads. Nothing wrong with dads coaching, but it's certainly a lot better, especially if you are running a travel team, if that's not the case. I coached Kevin, my son, at 15, 16, and 17, in 9 and 10. 9 and 10, I don't know if this is something you really want to know, but the association that he was at, which was a big old rec park, they had massive tryouts, and then you would go to the coaches meeting and they would hand you your team. You didn't get to pick up on nothing. This is your team. The guy sitting next to me, coaching the league, I said, can I see your team? Sure. Only one I knew on it was my son. He said, somebody here doesn't like you. I went, why's that? He said, because 6 of your top 10 players are 9.
Oh.
I went, okay, that's fine. He said, you want to play a scrimmage game tomorrow? I went, no. I think I'll probably try to teach them how to play the game. Because I had some that literally, I mean, it was babysitting, but that's fine. They wanted to be there, and we did everything we could. So I took the time because of what I did for a living back then to meet with these 9 and 10-year-old kids when they got out of school every day. So we practiced every day for a while, and some of the coaches got mad at that because I could get there, and they didn't start practice until 5:30. So we would practice from 4 to 5:30. And I remember teaching them how to play catch and how you throw the ball and finding somebody that could throw it over the plate. I found 2, and then somebody that could catch it behind the plate. It was really kind of a lot of fun. Long story short, we went 19-0. We didn't lose a game and won their little 9 and 10-year-old league. And I got a letter because you didn't get emails back then from the association telling me that I would no longer be coaching there. They didn't like the way I coached.
After all those wins? Okay.
And the parents that had kids on that team went after them. They were mad. Some of those kids that started at 9 years old ended up playing for me at 15 and 16. They got better. So
And Spanish work ethic.